Hi there people, I'm back with you. It's a cold dinner time here in the Pennines. Just thought I'd give you a quick glimpse of my antennas and show them off for a while. I've got quite a few new subscribers, so maybe you might want to see what the situation is. In the background there you can see the satellite array. That's the 437 Oscar Sat, the longest one, and then you've got the 145X pole. 12 elements to the 145 side and 30 elements to the 437. So that's that one over there, and then above this one you should be able to see the dipole. So that's the dipole, and in the distance is the F23 monoband. I'll give you a proper look at them in a sec. So I hope you like this video. I'll show you my hustler, I'll show you my 4080 fan dipole which you've just seen, and I'll have a quick look at the Cushcraft MF5B. Cold. Starting off with this satellite array, a different view. You can see how I've got this one. It's just on a mast which is fixed to my stone out building. There's a full setup with the elevation rotator, and then up on this side here we've got the F23 monoband 2 meter 145 megahertz vertical antenna. It's a tri-collinear, so 3 collinear verticals stacked, giving you a decent dB gain. By that you can also make out the small, I'll just try to zoom in a little bit, hopefully you can see it. It's the ADSB aircraft reception Coke can and welding wire antenna just clipped on there. And that's for my Raspberry Pi SkyAware tracking system I run. And this is the dipole, so you can see 2 elements there. It's a fan as it terminates in the center point, just a straightforward dipole center on that. I did have a 1-to-1 balun at one point, but I've since replaced it for the dipole center, a bit lighter, and the balun didn't really make much difference, to be truthful. It was worse, if anything. It made it more narrow banded for SWR even. Right now it's much wider across the bands, giving you a better usage, a better coverage. So that just terminates into a coaxial choke, which is just there. So that's a coaxial choke which feeds this 4080 fan dipole. And down here we can see the vertical antenna. That's the Hustler vertical. I'll take a closer look at that one in a second. So this is ground mounted Hustler vertical. I've got a stake hammered into the ground. It's a 5-foot solid bar, and then I've got some box section, number of radials. There's a few more tucked away. I'm actually going to add a lot more radials to this as we get on. The radials are actually now buried nicely under the grass. You can't see them. And the vertical, it's been up for many years as this one. It's survived lots of storms. I did replace this bottom section of tubing a couple of years ago, and yeah, it's doing okay. That's the Hustler 6-band vertical, which I generally use for 40 meters. I don't really use it for much else. And that's that one. This is the bottom leg of the 40 fan dipole, not particularly high. You can see the insulator there, and that just runs up to that center which I showed you a little bit earlier. The other element is, hopefully you can view that. So yeah, the elements there, that terminates at the bottom of the garden, which is down that end there, and we've got a wooden piece of pole, and that's connected to the top of that. We'll go take a look. So yeah, it's just another fixture in the ground with a bit of a wooden pole to isolate the antenna, and that terminates up there. You can't really make it out with the tree, but there's the insulator, and it goes all the way back up to the house, and there's the vertical. So that's the situation for the 4080 fan dipole. So down here I've got a tripod, and it's laden down with cement, stone, all kind of stuff. It's been there for years, and this tripod is what supports my Cushcraft MF5B, which again is not particularly high. It's only about 20 feet above the ground with this tubing. So that's the MF5B from the underneath view. If you can see that, we'll have another look, a little bit of a better view. So there it is in its glory. So like I say, only about 20 feet, 18 feet above the ground, but the actual location of this garden is elevated. As you can see, the roofs of the houses are quite low in comparison. So we're on a small hill this side, 600 feet above sea level, which behind me, which I'll show you in a second, runs up to about 1,000 feet on the edge of the moors. So that's the antenna I use for HF. It operates absolutely amazing on 10 meters. It's really good on 12. It's fantastic on 15. Good on 18 megahertz, 17 meter band, and it's excellent on 20 meters. The main bands it works on are 20, 15 and 10 with a bit of gain. On the 17 and 12 meter band it's a bit like a dipole, but it still works up pretty good, and obviously gives me the directional capabilities of isolating a few signals. So very nice antenna. Had it up for a number of years now. It needs a good clean, but other than that, still performing well. So as you can see, we live on a slight elevated point, and you can see the hill behind. I'll just zoom in, and this is making our way up to the moorland. So we live in a mountainous kind of hilly kind of area. There's a lot of mist about. Behind that tree line there is another up part to the top of the moors, which you can't see because it's covered in fog. But we're at a good high point here, and that's explains why we get out quite well. So we're looking down the valley into the basement there, or the basin, and yeah, it's a good place to operate from. There's not too much really, a lot of trees about, one or two neighbours, but pretty much a reasonable elevated position. So a quick tour of the antennas, which seem to be withstanding the weather quite nicely. I best not speak too soon, but yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully I'll catch you back soon when I've warmed up, and we'll play a bit of radio sometime together. Catch you later guys, enjoy yourselves. This is M0YKS, just out in the garden checking the antennas and all the fixings. I noticed that my 20 meter delta loop has snapped. That's been up for about 10 years and it's hanging down in the bottom there. So I'll have to retrieve that and have a look at that, but that's a job for another day. So catch you later, 73.